All right, looking at this question, this looks like it's homework number 3, question number 6. And what it says is that Joe's annual income has been increasing each year by the same dollar amount. So we know that it's increasing same amount of money. And the first year his income was $16,500. And by the 8th year, his income was $26,300. And so then the question is, okay, well, when will his income be $37,500? Now, in the textbook, they will sometimes use formulas, or if you go to tutoring, they might try and use some sort of formula, because this is actually something that you learn in college algebra, but we want to do it without actually using those formulas. So if you see this formula, something like this, AN, A1, something like this. This does work. This is a formula for the arithmetic sequences, but that's not really what I want you to be doing. This is all about problem solving, so I want you to just think, work through it, just try. All right, so if we think about it, we know that in order to get from the first year to, let's say, the second year, it increased by some dollar amount. Now, I don't know what dollar amount that is. I'm just going to call it D for dollar, okay, so by some dollar amount, and then it gets us some new amount of money. Then the third year, it's going to increase by that same dollar amount. So it's going to add the D, and it's going to keep doing that. Now it's really nice because we're only going up to the 8th year here, so I can actually draw. If it was going up to something higher, I might not want to kind of draw the situation. But we know that every year, it's going to go up by some D dollar amount. And so we could think about, okay, well, we know that we started at $16,500 and we ended with $26,300. So if we take the difference between those amounts, that's what all the D's are going to have to be. So if I subtract that, do a little borrowing, and this is where you can use a calculator if you want to, not a big deal. 1, okay, so it looks like we're at $9,800. So that's how much his income changed from the first year all the way to the 8th year. And so between the first and 8th year, look at, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I do that right? 6 D's. But that doesn't really make sense because we're going 8 to 8th year. It has to be 7 D's. And I just realized my error here was to put a 6th in. So we're going to actually have another spot in here, which means we have one more D, okay, between here. So we have a total of 7 D's. It's always one less, if you think about it, than the year we're on, because you don't count the first year, because that was just the starting amount, and then you have to keep adding D's for every term, which is why there's going to be a total of 7 D's. So what that means is this $9,800, if we split this amongst those 7 D's, or just do some division, divide that by 7, let's see, we're going to get 1, 7, 2, 8. What that looks like is that we're going to have 1,400. So if our D's are 1,400, each one is 1,400, what we're saying is that, let's go down for this one, there's another 1,400, 1,400, you can double check with a calculator, but 7 times 1,400, 7 times that 1,400 plus the starting amount, 16,500. Notice this is kind of looking like that formula up there. This should get you 26,300 if we did that right, because 7 times 1,400 should get you the 9,800. And when you add that to 16,500, we should be getting 26,300. And so we know that that number that we're adding every time is 1,400. And so now it wants us to know, okay, well, when are we going to get to this amount? Well, there's a few different ways we could do it. Because it's not that big of a number, we could just keep going and say, okay, well, the 9th year, if we add another 1,400, where will that put us? I'm just going to break out my calculator to help me out here. Go a little quickly. 1,400 plus that 26,300 is at 27,700. So let's go again. So the 10th year, I add 1,400 again. I'm at 29,100, getting closer. The 11th one, so add 1,400 again, will put me at 30,500. And so let's see the 12th one, let's add 1,400 again. We're at 31,900. Add 1,400 again, we're at 33,300. Add 1,400 again. Okay, so this is taking a bit of time, so it's like, okay, well, maybe we would like to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to finish it off now. But again, this is just using patterns and problem solving. You don't need to use any fancy formula. I'll show you how we can think through it in just a minute, but if we keep adding that 1,400, the 15th guy will get 36,100, and then the 16th guy will get 37,500. So we know it's by the 16th year he'll be at that amount, so in 16 years. So another way to think about it is say, okay, well, we know that we started with 16,500, and we're going to add a whole bunch of 1,400s. We don't know how many we want to add, but like if I wanted to add 2 of them, a quick way to do that would be just like times 2. That adds 2 1,400s. So I don't know how many that is, so you can use X or D or whatever you want, but we know that the total amount that we want is going to be 37,500. And so what ends up happening is really taking, okay, this is what we want to have, and this is our start. Let's subtract them. And again, you could do this without doing a fancy equation, but we subtract them. And so we're going to get 1,400x equals, so the difference between 37,500 and 16,500 is 21,000. So what we need to think about is, okay, well, how many 21,000s does it take, or sorry, how many 1,400s does it take to make 21,000? So really we're just dividing by 1,400, divide by 1,400. And so when we do that, we will end up 21,000 divided by 1,400. It's going to be equal to 15. So what that 15 means is we need to add 15 of those 1,400s. So we have the first guy plus 15 of those means that this guy will be reached by the 16th term, or the 16th year, which is what we got over here by listing them. So both of them are acceptable. Again, if you don't even like that equation, you could just say, okay, well, I know I need to get to 37,500. Let's take away our starting number, which puts us at 21,000. And I know I'm made up of a bunch of 1,400s because we found that earlier. So let's just take 21,000 divided by 1,400, and we'll get 15. So we know it takes 15 of those 1,400s. So the 15 years plus the first original year, we get 16 as well. So any of those ways would work. So really a big part of this is not coming up with, not using a formula. Don't just plug into some random formula that we don't understand. Like think through it, try and figure out what's actually happening here. Hope that helps.